kind of a special show. What we're doing in CVA for our December show is creating a theme. The theme was stories. These were actually judged. We do have 3 prizes, first, second, and third. We had 33 works of art to be entered. They range from drawings, collages, mixed media, photography, oils, watercolors, and acrylics. It all came from 18 artists, so many of you submitted multiple pieces, which is awesome. Our third place winner is actually Amy.
So my piece is called Summer Picnic, this little bunny here. Black and White was the name of a show that I wanted to enter. I almost never use black in my watercolors, but this show was very strict. They could only be black and white. I pulled out my 2 black pigments, ivory black and lunar black, that I love because it's a granular pigment that separates out. You can kind of see it giving a little texture to the fur. Per my usual self, I was working against a deadline to enter the show, and somehow in about a half hour this painting came out and was a success. And fortunately I knew when to stop, because I think that's what people respond to when they see it, that it's kind of a minimal painting. I could have kept working and overdone it, but I had to finish it for the deadline, so that's how that worked out.
Our first and second prize, second place is Dancing Man, and first place is Operating Room, and those are by an artist named Wade Williams.
I came up with this piece in homage of this man, Dr. Charles R. Davis. He founded the African American Ensemble Dance. I just so happens I had met this man maybe 3 years before he expired. He expired maybe a year and a half or maybe 2 years ago. I did meet him at least 3 or 4 times. They'd call him Baba Chuck Davis. I thought I would do something to pay homage to him, and this is my results. The story behind this is St. Agnes Hospital used to have a nursing home, and they had a call for artists to envision the St. Agnes Hospital again, so that they wanted the artists to come in and give their perspective of the building. I went inside the building and back in time, and this is what I came in. This is the attire, some of the materials they would use. This place used to be called the Healing Place. It was the only place African Americans could go if they were sick or for operations. This is what I came up with. St. Agnes Hospital, operating room.
My name is Avis. Well, it's different creations that we were asked to do each month. And we had some ideas of what we were supposed to be making, like the Easter egg. And the other one is the sunflower that you see out and growing in fields. And it blooms, and as the flowers are blooming, the sun keeps turning it around. Been working on these things here in Springbrook for the last year and a half. Oh, we usually have some type of a pattern that we look at, and from there we make our own choices of color.
I work at Springbrook Nursing and Rehab, and about a year ago we noticed there was an amazing talent within our building, and Miss Ava just happens to be one of the ladies who's very, very active and involved with expressing her creativity. We're very excited to have that opportunity.
About 3 years ago, I had some eye surgeries which affected my vision. So I am visually impaired at this point in time, and I actually thought that I would never be able to do my photography again, which I've done for many years. And this piece that we have here, the shadowed iris, was the very first piece that I did with assistive technology. And it's almost like coming a full circle for me again, and there's a comfort level. I learned how to be a photographer and doing black and white. This iris actually grows in my garden. After not being able to do my art in the past few years, to be able to create it all again is amazing, and I'm just really blessed to be able to be part of this program today. Because of my vision loss, I do not see color contrast as well as I used to. So what I did with this piece is I said, okay, if I can't see it, how can I exaggerate it? How can I make this, reactive to how I am perceiving this? And I really like in this particular piece, the textural quality. The overall piece, I think, emphasizes almost a otherworldly kind of effect on this, but yet you recognize it, being a water lily that is just, beginning to open, but you also see all the flora around it, hence Flora Delight.
One of my digital photography pieces. I went to Venice a year ago, November, and we stayed in a restored monastery, and then for an afternoon, I got to do some walking around on my own, and I came upon the boatman in his gondola, and it just was the perfect setting with the light and the contrast between the light colors of the building and the water, and it kind of fit in. He was all alone, no passengers. Show you the difference between the last photograph and this one. Instead of printing it on photographic paper, this is printed on 90 weight watercolor paper, cold pressed watercolor paper that's textured, and on a large format printer, and it's printed in grayscale. This is from Holden Beach. So I printed it in a black and white scale, and then I went in with watercolor and intense ink pencils and liquid ink, and brought out certain areas with the color to make a difference between the black and white areas and the color contrast. So it gives it a little bit of depth. Besides being a flat, two-dimensional black and white picture, now you have the color that brings you into the image, the center of the image. And that's how I've kind of taken photography and brought it into the mixed media world.
My name is Dan Sicking, and I'm fairly new to CVA. In fact, this is only my second exhibit, and this is the first one of these functions I've attended. What I submitted this time was a picture of a cub black bear hiding up in the tree, from the first humans he's ever seen. Well, I picked out the bear cub because I like bears, and I just started putting paint on canvas and started working with it, and off and on for months and months, and finally this is what turned out. So that thing's been edited for quite a few times.
This particular piece I call Mystique, and it's photographed in a cathedral in Vernon, France. And I went to Vernon for market day. So to spend a little time until the market was open, I checked out a Gothic cathedral. And as I was going through the Gothic cathedral, on my way out, I realized that there was this interesting bowl that was catching the light of these stained glass windows. So if I looked really close into the bowl, what I realized was that all of the light of the stained glass window was being reflected and creating these beautiful patterns and really interesting colors. So my other image is about Florence, the city of Florence, Italy, and it's photographed at twilight. And there's one particular spot across the Arno River and up the hill where you can get this beautiful overview of the skyline of the city. And for me, it's a memento, a great memento of the city of Florence.
exhibiting two pieces of my artwork this evening. They are both inspired by a documentary I saw just by chance. It moved me so much that I got up from watching the documentary and went directly to my art studio and proceeded to purposely break wine bottles, glass, and assembled things that represent broken promises. The green one is what I created following that documentary about a study that had been done that found pesticide, what it does to animal life and now human life, because pesticides end up in our food. But when I analyzed the fact that we really start out with everything we need, that's the other piece then represents the universe, where it all started, and that we really were given everything we need to survive.
This is one of my paintings entitled Stronger Together. I attend Cornerstone Community Church in Rocky Mount, and one day our pastor gave a sermon in which he discussed sequoia trees, and he talked about just how massive these trees are, and that we would think that their roots would be equally as deep. But in fact, their roots are only about 5 feet deep, so it doesn't make sense how they would stand. And basically what happens is that the roots join together, they fuse together, so one tree is able to feed and nourish another tree that could be miles away. So when I created this painting, I connected all the roots and I put them together, but I used hands. It's from, all different colors, all different, nationalities. It doesn't matter, that we're all one, and we should all help and support one another.